Hello and welcome back to Needle Lace Made Easy. Michael Dennis here again. In this video I'll show you how the filling stitch on another petal is made. The stitch we are going to use is corded double Brussels. I've started off by running my filling stitch thread up through the couching stitches as we did for the corded single Brussels. I've got the same two lines on here, the start and the finish line. So we're going to make two stitches, two buttonhole stitches, the same as we did for the corded single Brussels. So make a stitch, pull up the thread, make sure it's got the right tension and the right size, and make another stitch beside it. Again, pull up, make sure your tension is the same. Now we need to leave a gap the width of those two stitches. If you're not too sure what size gap to leave, get a piece of card and cut it to the width of your two stitches. You can then use that to judge how much gap you need between your stitches. I'll leave that piece of card there for the moment. So our next couple of stitches want to come in here. Same thing applies, but this time you've got to leave this loop. And you don't want that loop sagging too much. So that's about right. Hold the stitch with your thumb and make another stitch beside that one. Again, we've got this problem of the couching stitch being in the way. I'm going to come this side of it this time. Pull it up. Again, leave a gap, make two more stitches. Now that gap is too wide. It's too wide, take the stitch out and move it the other side of that couching stitch. We knew it was too wide to come this side of that couching stitch, so just come this side of the couching stitch. And now we've got a similar size loop to the first one. Hold it with your thumb and make your other stitch the other side of that couching stitch. Leave a gap, make two more stitches. Leave a gap, make two more. Another two. And we won't get another two in now before we hit this red line here, showing us the end of the row. So as before, take your needle and thread out through the side Don't pull it too tight, and loop it again. Lay the thread back across the space. Use your needle to determine where you need to go out on the other side, and that couching stitch is going to be in the way. So what I'm going to go through the couching stitch. Won't matter because that stitch will be cut. That couching stitch will be cut away later on. So pull it up, loop it again. Now you always get this problem of this side riding up, and that's because we're coming over the top of this coordinate. If we were able to come on from underneath, then we wouldn't get that problem. But it sorts itself out as we work the next row. Now the next row, you work 2 stitches into each of the big loops. But because our first big loop is here, it's too far away. So we're going to have to work our first 2 stitches into the coordinate. Same problem as before. Because we've got this arc, we need to increase the number of stitches. So 1 into the coordinate. The second one into the coordinate. Then work into the big loop between the first 2 pair of stitches. And into the next loop between the pairs of stitches. And that will automatically make the space for the next row. We've got no more loops between pairs of stitches now, but we have got this loop here which we can get another pair of stitches in. And that finishes that row off neatly now. Again, work out where you're going to come out on the side coordinate. So it's underneath that couching stitch there. Sorry, on top of that couching stitch. In fact, we'll loop it under that couching stitch, so the loop goes around the couching stitch as well. And then lay back across the space. Under the coordinate threads again. And you're ready now to start the next row. On this next row, we needn't put any stitches in to the coordinate because this one is close enough. I'll just make 2 stitches into there. You always have to sort of judge whether you need to put in an extra stitch or not. But because this is a more open stitch, to get a gap here isn't going to look odd, but it would do on the corded single Brussels. Again, It's always 2 stitches into the big loops. Continue working like that now all the way down to the bottom, increasing on this side or this side as the need arises, and decreasing when you get to this area here. I've now reached the bottom of this petal, and whereas we had gaps to fill at the bottom when we did the corded single Brussels, we haven't got this problem here. I can't get another line of stitches in. I'll come out through the side coordinate as usual from the last row of stitches, and it's now simply a matter of whipping this last row of loops into this coordinate along here. So pick up the loop. Because I've got this in an embroidery ring and it's flat, it's very difficult for me to get that needle without catching these middle threads, but I'll do my best. That's the first loop. Second loop. And then run your needle and thread up through some couching stitches on the side or down here, whichever is easier. Cut off surplus thread. The next area we're going to fill will be what is known as up and down stitch, or sometimes called ardenza stitch. That'll be on the next video.